Well, hello, and welcome back to another podcast episode with Brittany Bundles. You are listening to the Brittany Bundles podcast, where we empower people through entrepreneurship. And today is our credit awareness segment. Today, I'm actually going to be answering questions that I've received from you all. Before we get into this podcast, I want you all to share the podcast like I mentioned on every episode. Sharing helps to spread the word about what we're doing. It helps to provide information, resources, motivation to some, inspiration, guidance. And then also it helps to shed light on the entrepreneurs that have sponsored episodes on this podcast, and also the entrepreneurs that are going to sponsor episodes, the entrepreneurs that have been featured on this podcast, that have shared their stories, their tips. It just really helps to promote that and get that out there. And not just promoting their business, but like I said, it's sharing resources, it's going over testimonies, it's providing motivation and inspiration for entrepreneurs and people out there that really need it. So I'll go ahead and give you all a moment to share, and I'll be back with you all in just a second. All right, so I am back. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about different questions that I've gotten. I believe I gathered most of these questions from my DMs and my website. However, I don't exclude any questions that I get on my YouTube channel at Brittany Bundles, or questions that I get any other like text message or email or any other avenue. But I believe these questions were mainly from my website, keepingupwithbrittany.com. So remember, if you are interested in submitting a question, go to my website. All the way at the bottom, there is a form where you can submit your question, your inquiry, and I don't ignore those. Okay, so the first thing that I want to go over, the first question is, can closing my card, hurt my credit score? Can closing my credit card hurt my credit score? The answer to that is yes. When you close one of your trade lines on the account, such as a credit card, it can hurt your score, especially if the credit card has been a trade line. So if it's been an account on your credit that has been open for a period. Let's say, for example, let's just play out a scenario that you've had a Macy's credit card since you were 19 years old. Now you are 25, 26. And after your Macy's credit card, you got additional credit cards. So you also acquired a Victoria's Secret credit card. You also acquired a Amex credit card. You also got Capital One. So you have a few cards at this point. You have two that you can use anywhere, and then you have two that you're using for specific stores when you're shopping, the Macy's and Victoria's Secret. Let's say that you're like, you know what, I don't want any more store-related credit cards. So I don't want the Victoria's Secret credit card anymore, and I don't want the Macy's credit card anymore. So you go and you contemplate canceling the Macy's card, paying it off and canceling it. Well, since the Macy's card is the longest trade line, it's the longest account, the longest credit card that you've had, it was the first one that you opened with, it can have a negative impact, because what credit does is it measures how stable you look on paper. So if you've had this trade line for these years, and this has been the longest trade line, and all of a sudden you close it, that can have a negative impact. That can reduce your score. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, that looks like I'm more responsible because I don't need it. No. If you're not using it, don't use it. You can cut it up. If Macy's closes that card for you, it's not going to have the same impact on your credit as if you close it. Stores and credit card holders can close your card. And I'm not saying close it due to a charge off or anything negative like that. But I'm saying if you're just simply not using it, if you don't use it for enough period, if you don't use it for a long enough period of time, then the card issuing company will potentially go ahead and close that card for you. And it is better for you to do it that way than it is for you to go ahead and close it yourself, because of that negative impact that it will have, especially if it's one of your first trade lines. So in that scenario, I would recommend to either not use the card anymore, pay it off and not use the card anymore, or I would make minimal purchases on it and pay that off to keep it active if I changed my mind and wanted to keep it active. But those are the two things that I would do. Either don't use them at all, or just don't use it, at all, or use it very minimally. The next question that I have is it smart to take out a loan to pay off debts? Now, it all depends. Okay, let's say that the debts that you're referring to are debts that are like, let's say you got some work done to your home and you just got your patio done and you took out a personal or signature loan to do that, and the interest rate on that loan was 9%. And you also have a loan that you took out for car repair, and that interest rate is around 9% too. So you're wanting to get these debts paid off, and you're like, should I go ahead and take out a loan to get these debts paid off? But the place that you're looking at and that you were approved for getting the loan at, that institution, their consolidation rate currently is a 25%. So at that point, would it make more sense for you to combine the two debts and you pay off the debts under this loan with the interest of 25%? Financially wise, no, it wouldn't make sense. Convenient wise, would it be more convenient for you to pay them together? It may be for you. What I would recommend doing is, if you are looking at consolidating debt, because when you're looking at taking out a loan to pay off your debts, that's what it's classified under. It's a debt consolidation loan, so that you can consolidate all of your debts together. Be mindful of the interest rate that you're getting with the consolidation loans. Also see if there's any collateral that you can add to the consolidation loan to change it into a collateralized loan, like an auto loan or an RV loan, so that you can get a lower interest rate. Because if you're able to combine all of those debts, let's say those two debts that we just went over, and let's say that you have a car that you paid off and you add that car to the loan. So now you have a loan payment on your car. However, the interest rate is now 2.34%. So you're paying less interest on the debt, and you're saving more money in the long run. So those are some things you want to look at when you're looking at consolidation. How much is this going to save me? Is this going to cost me? We don't want to look at just the now or just one of the perks. We want to look at the overall picture. So how much is this going to cost me long term? How much is this going to save me long term? Does the convenience outweigh the monetary savings? Or is it best that I keep these separate? But there are a lot of people that I speak with that have a lot of debt that they are looking to get rid of. And they have debt that they're currently paying on. So the debt's not in negative status or in a negative, standpoint. It's not charged off. It's not going to collections. They're not struggling to pay it. They just don't like paying so many people. Consolidating your debts would definitely be an option. Something that I've done before. It's something that I enjoy doing, and it's something that really helped me out. And I've seen and I've heard a lot of people also attest to how much consolidating their debt has helped them. Because if you're looking at credit cards especially, and you're paying the minimum payment to keep your credit cards from showing negatively, like your payment history showing up negatively on your credit report, so you're just throwing money at the minimal balance, you're not really working toward paying off that debt. Not unless you're paying the statement balance or you're paying the balance off, but you need to pay more than the minimal balance that's due. This is how I look at it. It just keeps that card active, and it keeps you from having a negative payment history on your credit report. But depending on the balance on that credit card, it can also have you continuously paying for this item that you purchased months or even years ago, because how the interest is set on the credit card. So keep that in mind. So the question is it smart to take out a loan to pay off debts? As long as it makes sense for your specific situation financially, yes, it's much more convenient. And I don't want to say most, but in a lot of instances, it can definitely save you money, because you're not just paying those minimal balances anymore. You're actually taking a chunk of getting your debts paid off, especially if the interest rate is a lot lower than what the interest rate is on your credit cards. which in most stances, loans, if you look at a consolidation loan or a collateralized loan, the interest rates may be lower or comparable to your credit card APR. So the next question is, what do I do if my cards are maxed out and I need to borrow more? If you have a credit card that's maxed out and you're needing more funds and you're wanting to use that credit card to make the purchase, maybe you want to use that credit card because it's the only credit card you have. Maybe you want to use the credit card because of the incentives that you're getting back on that specific card when you purchase specific products or items. Maybe you're using that card because you need a credit card. Let's say maybe it's a rental and you're needing to use a credit card in order to secure the rental. Not all places require a credit card, but I'm just using hypotheticals. Let's just say that's the case. At that point, what you can do is you can call your credit card company and you can ask for a credit limit increase. Now, there are some people that have not tried that because they feel like they're going to get denied immediately. But I'm saying I've tried that before. I didn't wait until my card was completely maxed. But when I did need more spending power on a specific card because of the points that I was going to get or the incentive, I can't remember the exact reason why at this point, but I do remember calling and asking for a credit limit increase. And it's kind of like another application in a sense. They will ask, in most instances, if you're still employed at the same place that you were employed at when you apply for that card, or if you're in the same business that you had when you applied for that card. Has anything changed with your address? Do they have consent to pull your credit? Some of them will do a soft inquiry. Some will do a hard inquiry on your credit. And it'll much be like another application to see if you qualify for a higher limit. Normally, it doesn't take too long if you're approved. They can let you know over the phone from my experience that you're approved. Sometimes they can let you know over the phone if you're denied, but most often if you're denied something, you'll receive a notice in the mail. But that is something that you can do if you need to borrow more on a specific card, is you can ask for a credit limit increase. Another thing that you can do is you can look into paying off that card more aggressively. So let's say that your card's maxed out, but you want to put another expense on a credit card. You can look at paying that card off more aggressively so that you can free up the space. Something else that you can look at doing is getting another card. Now, I want to be careful with this when you consider opening another credit card because it's another responsibility, as we know. And the last thing that you want is two cards that are maxed out. It's not going to look good on your credit report, and it's not going to help your credit score because, like we went over in some other episodes, if you revolve more than 30% of your credit limit, that's going to have a negative impact on your overall credit score. It's going to show up that way on your credit report as well. So it's important when we're talking about keeping our credit profile as healthy as it possibly can be to make sure that we are considering every line of credit that we're opening and making sure that we're doing our best to keep it below the 30% threshold for our credit's sake. So I would urge you all to not be impulsive and to really think about what this is going to do. Because if you're trying to get points too, or an incentive for using a card, but you know it's going to be maxed out once you use the card and it's going to have a negative impact on your credit score, at that point, it may be wise to go ahead and just purchase the product outright, lose the points, but keep your credit in good standing. Especially if you're in that position where you already have, if your card is maxed out and you need to borrow more, my focus would be on paying down that card or getting a higher credit limit, not necessarily to add something else to it. I mean, if they give you a credit limit that's high enough for you to do that, still be under 30%, okay. But if they're giving you a higher credit limit and you're maxing that out as well, you're back in the same position credit-wise. So that is those are my answers in regards to those questions. So I'm not going to keep you all for too long today. I just wanted to go over those questions. There are some more questions. I've answered some of the questions that I've gotten though in some other videos. and also in some different podcast episodes. So if you have any other questions that you haven't heard me go over, be sure to leave them down below. You can leave a comment on the Anchor app if you're listening to me on Anchor. You can also leave me a comment on YouTube if you're listening on YouTube. You can leave me a DM. You can go to my website, keepingupwithbrittany.com, and leave a DM there, or inquiry there, excuse me. And then you can also go to the credit website that I have, which is bchcreditrepairs.com. And you can even book a free consultation with me to see if you would be a good fit to move forward with credit repair. So all those options are available. Again, that website is B as in boy, C as in Charlie, H as in Henry, credit repairs, plural.com. Like I say in every podcast episode, I don't want the conversation to end. If you'd like to advertise on this podcast, which is sponsoring, be sure to reach out. I'm happy to help with that. If you'd like to be a guest on the Brittany Bundles podcast to promote your business, go over your insight, share your thoughts, be sure to connect with me on that as well. Also, please follow me on social media. I am on Instagram at Brittany_Bundles. That is Brittany, BRITTNEY _Bundles, BUNDLES. I'm on Twitter, Brittany Bundles, YouTube, Brittany Bundles, and Facebook, Brittany Bundles. Until next time, I'll talk to you all in the next podcast episode.